Welcome to Illustrator and working with typography. And of course, typography is good. What I wanted to first just take you through is just a few settings here. You notice that what I've got up on screen is I've got my character palette here. I'm in typography. Just for example, if you're in Essentials, that's fine. If you need to get the typography palette, if I click on something, you have your contextual menu that should come up and basically give you some aspects of changing that, but or you can actually just go under the window here, just a bit out of view, but it'll be the character Command T palette. This gives you a whole lot of options, so I can actually just go Command T, another way of doing it, or Control T on a PC, and I essentially bring up this palette, which is the one I want. There's also Show Options, which gives you a whole lot of extra effects. So if you want, you can bring this up because we're going to need this one with all these tools here. Or maybe another way of working is you can just go from Essentials back to Typography where we started before, and you get that same palette. Okay, what we first want to do here is I just want to make sure you're aware of two ways of putting text in. So if I just deselect here, I've just copied the first line of row of type here, and if I just click like so and paste it, I've got my line of text. If I go and try and move it down here, I just distort it, so that's not really what I want. The other problem is, if I just undo that, I'll just paste that text in again, and it just keeps on getting longer and longer and longer. So not really what I want for this effect. If I'm working with headline fonts and things like that, great. So what I'm going to do is just simply click with the type tool, and I'm going to drag out my shape, my panel that I want. And now if I just go Command V or Control V on a PC, it just fills up that space nicely. And if I want to move it around, it will just accommodate. Okay, so just make sure when you want to work with paragraph text, that's how you do it. Okay, now speaking of paragraph text, I'm just going to come down to the text here, and I'm going to click on that text panel. Right, the first thing I want to do is just want to look at maybe controlling the text a little bit. If I just deselect here, you can see that it's nicely, well, it's fairly well justified in terms of how it fits out there. If I just see what sort of the text flow I've got it in terms of align left, whatever, I can just go into my paragraph tools to really find out how that's actually fitting. So if I go down to paragraph, here it is, flush left, I might want to just justify it. So it's justified now, so it sits align right. Now, what I've got here is you might notice this little line or dash just pokes out the side here. What you can do when you're working with your paragraph text is, if we go down here, you can actually look at how you're going to control your text. Adobe is looking at every line, and it's using a line composer. Now this is a really good thing because it really looks at the whole line and actually fits it just nicely. But if you want to look at the whole paragraph that you're working with, you can actually go to Adobe Every Line Composer. Now this is also in InDesign, and actually there's a whole lot of extra tools there. So I'm just going to click on this. You see how it's just adjusted? It tries to fill it out the best possible way to give it the best possible view. When the Mac computers first came out, they really didn't do a very good job of typography. Not as good as traditional set type with a linotype machine with an expert typographer. So it was only actually InDesign that enabled to really look at full paragraph text to get the best alignment. And it's very important that you do look at your type very carefully to get the best possible look at it. Okay, so and also, if I click on that, you'll notice it's 12 point at the moment. I suggest that that's too big. Really, a maximum size that you want to work with is about 11 point. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change that down here to 11 point. But it's a little bit tight here. I want to get a little bit more leading. Leading gives life. It gives ability for the type to breathe. So if you're on your character back here, it's good having the character palette always available. I'm going to take it from 11 point. And just out of view there, but I'm going to go up to something like 18 point. And if I just deselect that, now, you know, what is the best one to view? We've got this beautiful alignment with multi-line composing, and it's a lot clearer to read here. Now, one other issue that you can look at in terms of maybe things like dashes, which sometimes it looks like the text being moved in slightly because it's such a tiny dash there. It just doesn't have that weight on the edge to give that lovely alignment. So another good feature that you can work with here is if you go to the paragraph tool, and if I just go onto the drop down menu here, you've got this thing called Roman hanging punctuation. So watch what's going to happen with this dash when I click on that. Okay, and deselect. It's actually pushed it out the side, and it will also be on the right in terms of anything that actually sticks out the side, like quotation marks and things that are going to be very minute and small and not really stay with that alignment. It'll push out the side to give it that optical alignment. And basically hanging punctuation. Okay, that's what it's sort of referred to, and that's what it's called. Now, one other thing what I'm going to do here is also the ability with working with Illustrator. If I go back over, while I'm in my paragraph tools there, obviously you can play around with your alignment, you can turn your hyphenation on or off, and really play around with that to get it working just as you want. We've also got character styles. And InDesign and basically working with Illustrator, you have character styles. At the moment it's got a plus here. I'm just going to click on that sort of to accept that, and it's actually sort of treating that now as a style. Okay, but what I want you to do is, just in order to play with your text paragraph boxes, I'm going to go up to my type here with it selected, and I'm going to come down to area type options. So if I click on this here, what I can do is if I bring this in, I can actually set this type into boxes and columns and rows. So I've got columns here, so if I go to 2, nothing's happened here, but if I go down to preview, here it is, it's been set into rows there. I can set it into columns as well. Oh, sorry, not rows, but columns here, and back into rows as well by clicking on rows. So a lot of power to really make your alignment fast and simple, and this is a really good example where this punctuation is pushing out to perhaps give it a little bit of a better look. So if I just click on it like so. So you can see the power of the tools, and also if I go back to my guttering, this can also be set by just coming back here under the type, back to type area, and you can actually play with your guttering. It's in the center there at the moment, and that should be moving as long as you've got the preview on, and you can see how that space moves or comes back down, comes back up. Okay, so a lot of tools to play with or experiment with to get just the right effect that you want. So just a quick example working with type. What I'm also going to do is we really want to have our headlines looking just like magic. Right, with your typography is good here. As a display font, maybe there's a little bit too much space here. Where we looked at getting better leading down the bottom earlier on, we might want to look at actually getting less leading to get it fitting just as you want. So in terms of type, you can actually work with, just say for example, this font here is 72 point. So if I go back to my character here, you can actually work with 72 point on 72 point leading, and that's going to work because there's always just a little bit of space between the descender and ascender. So just to show that that does work, I'm going to come back here. Again, it's just out of view here, but I'm going to go to 72 point. And as you can see, that fits fine. That's 72 on 72. But I'm going to use some inverse leading here because I want to get these descenders and ascenders fitting nicely with each other. So I might drop this back here, just out of view here, but I'm going to go to 60. So you can see how you get this beautiful fitting display font that actually, when it's at a larger size, it works a lot better and works with the space a lot more effectively. Now there might be some issues here that you're looking at the spacing. So let's say for example I can actually just click in here with my type tool, and if I use my option or alt key on a PC, I can use my left to right arrow, and maybe if I just want to bring in the text just a little bit here, see how it's just bringing in just by using the arrow keys. So you can control your kerning to the infinite level as well as playing around with the tools themselves, being paragraph or character, such as your tracking. You can actually move it here. This gives you the individual flexibility. Now, you can actually play with subscript and in order to, just create the right effect if you're using different degrees of finesse. But with this display font, what I want to do is actually have more control. And there's a new tool here, which if I just go back and click on the touch-up tool, and I go and click on any letter, then I can actually move that precisely as I want in order to maybe do some very unique stuff, which was very tricky to do in any other way. Not only can I just select it like so, I'll just do it once more. You can actually even expand it in. You can rotate it, or you can come down here and use any of these tools to also control it. So you've got a lot of ability to do just what you want very easily, very effectively, without having to convert it to outlines to do or paths to do tricky things that are in the past. I'll just click back on my type tool now, just the general type tool, and that's just hidden under here now. So this is all the list of tools you've got, wherever you access it from, and I'll click back on here, and as you see, it's just normal type that you can actually play around with and change. Okay, so just a few little features there that just enable you to do lots of effects just to get the best possible result you need for your project. So experiment, don't settle for second best, aim to get it the best you can possibly get it.